Alright, so I've got a new project for you. I wasn't just trying to show off my mediocre, if that, Shudo or Japanese calligraphy skills, but I have these cups or these canisters that come from these old tea containers from the Republic of Tea company that we like to save. And so I actually decorated this with some fish skin I had to stitch it together, and then I just did some decorative knotting on the tops and bottoms just as a holder. So I'm going to show how I did this. And again, I didn't actually have a plan for this necessarily. I just kind of did it on the fly. So it's not very smooth, but hopefully it just inspires some ideas. You'll need to know how to tan fish skins, or have some leather, or have some fish leather lying around somewhere in order to complete a project similar to this. And by the way, what I wrote was a Japanese symbol or kanji or character for haru, which means spring, and Chinese is chun, which means life, lust. Chuntian is spring in Chinese, but Setsubun, which is the first day of spring on February 2nd, was just a couple of days ago, so that's why I chose that character. Okay, so I'm going to begin a project here with some of the salmon skin that I've tanned, and this is a fair amount that I have. I've already done a wallet. The guts are missing on this, but I'm going to go ahead and put a skin backing on this and then figure out the guts later. Let's see here. And then I have my brush container here, brush and pen, fude brush, brushes, and this is a regular old tea container. Actually, it's from one of these, you know, they're pretty cool. This is actually pretty good. Cranberry blood orange is actually pretty tasty. The Republic of Tea, highly recommended. But yeah, we collect these when they're done because they're nice containers. So I'm going to cover this one with some fish skin. So that's the projects. And then here's a resource, a book that I got for Christmas one year, Fish Leather Tanning and Sewing by Lata Ram and Dag Hartman here. So this is a very good book. It goes really in depth in the art and science of tanning fish skins. I didn't have this book when I started. I actually had to do research online and piece together some stuff and a little bit of trial and error. So there's oil tanning, there's ammonia or urine tanning. So I haven't tried them all, but anyhow, I'll put the link below on my experimentation with fish tanning. So I'm going to go ahead and what I'm doing is I'm prepping. I'm going to prep these pieces and size these pieces for the projects. And then since they're curled up, they tend to have memory, right? So that means that they'll stay curled up. So I want to get them wet, stretch them out a bit, figure out the sizes that I need for the you know, what I'm going to attach them to, and then dry them flat for at least overnight or something like that. Alright, so here's my container for holding my pens and fude or brushes for practicing shudo, which is Japanese calligraphy, Chinese calligraphy, and sumie, or drawing with the Japanese art of brush painting, if you will. And actually, the process of making a brush is actually pretty cool, very interesting. Japanese culture tends to have a lot of really close to the earth type things. If you notice, there's kind of a trend on this channel of lakes. I'm just noticing all kinds of fascinating stuff to just dive into and be like, okay, I wonder if I can make that, or how is that made. Anyways, I want to get rid of, on this canister here, it's a metal canister, I want to get rid of this, and then I want to find a piece, and this may be a piece that I think will wrap around mostly, but there's a hole in it, a couple of holes in it, which are fine. I think I can handle that. I can kind of do some sewing, but we may have to be, this wraps completely around, which is nice, but there may be some sewing that may have to be involved here, right? And then again, like the middle, the dark part can go in the middle like that, or the light part can go in the middle. I actually prefer the dark part, to be honest. And then we'll see if this piece barely makes it. So I think this piece, and I'll have some remnants left over, and then this piece will work together nicely. They almost are really almost perfect for one another. And again, there will have to be some stitching and sewing going on, and some trimming and stuff like that. But yeah, so we've got our fish skin pieces. I haven't tanned any salmon lately, so I don't have, these will be kind of, I have some earlier pieces for remnants for just other decorative type things. So we'll just roll these back up, set these aside. Now that we have our pieces, I may need to go into this pile to cannibalize the patch holes and stuff like that, but for now we'll just set these aside. Alright, so we've got our pieces here and here for the wallet. So this one for the cup, these for the cup, and these for the wallet. Now we have a ton of cutting boards in this household, which is kind of cool. They're actually kind of very useful. And so what I'm going to do is, lay out one set and then stack this on top of another set and then put my marble on that and set it aside. So that's why I have all these right here. So I want to wet these down. Alright, for the wallet, I'm doing the same thing here. Just laying these down, getting them saturated and wet so that they're malleable again. And I'm gonna just lay down a weight on top of them, like lay down a weight on them, just like my marble slab here that I got for leather working, carving leather, and stamping leather. That's what it's for. Got it from Tandy Leather some years ago when I started leather working. And then just let it sit overnight. Oh, by the way, this marble slab, again, obviously you can probably get them at, I don't know, a quarry or marble place, tabletop place. But Tandy Leather specifically sells these for carving and stamping of leather. I actually bought a kit when I started working leather. I think it was like 60 bucks at the time. It was really heavy, and I was wondering why it was heavy. Well, it came with a marble slab. You do not want to drop this on your foot. Trust me, you will break it. This thing is heavy. I don't know. It's probably, oh gosh, probably about 20 pounds. So it's good for this sort of work. Okay, so we have our pieces that have been laid out with my heavy marble slab on, so they're nice and flat. They're still pliable, and this should be easier now to excuse me, to kind of wrap this around the canister. Okay, so this wraps around nicely, one side. So that's why we'll need two pieces here, because this is not going to fit all the way around. So when I want the dark side up. Oopsie daisy. Or actually, what did we say? We wanted the dark sides in the middle. So I can overlap a little bit at the top. So this is perfectly going to align, at least rather it's going to be, it's going to wrap around with no need to cover or anything like that. There's a hole here that we can patch, and then so I'm laying this out. The other piece could go, we may not have to patch the other piece so much. It can go like this, and then the other piece will have to go something like this. All right, so there, so the dark pieces will be in the middle. And so before we do all that, what I do want to do, I mean, we'll have enough, but what I want to do is glue the two pieces together. There's going to be some splicing that's going to have to be done. I think for patching the holes, I'm probably going to use some remnant bits that I have that can just kind of go in the hole space, like so. You know, I'll just place that on here. And then I have a smaller remnant bit that can go onto this side here, like so. So yeah, so that's kind of how we're gonna have to do that. So before we do all that, I'm going to be using rubber cement, and I want to be careful because I don't want it to get everywhere. You gotta kind of control rubber cement. Rubber cement is very good for leather work. I mean, it's not a permanent thing, but it holds your pieces in place. Okay, because we're going to need to cement these two pieces together, and I've got the flesh side up and the scale side of the fish leather down, right? But around the hole, I want to just brush or tap the piece where I'm going to just splice. I'm just going to just glue it on, because at the end of the day, this whole thing is going to be glued on, and I'll fix it in a different manner. So like this one, this piece here can go just like right there, and just like that. And then this piece here can go right there, just like that. Okay, so I'm just let that tack down for a little bit, then I can rub the excess. The thing with the rubber cement, I can rub the excess away, and then yeah, it kind of creates a little bit of a patch there, which when it's all said and done will be really nice. It'll be fine. And then we want to splice these two together, and we're going to be doing some sewing. Alright, so while these pieces are kind of drying, I want to set these over and see what's going to look the best, right? And I think that looks pretty fair. Okay. I like the darker pattern. So by doing it, what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to take my rubber cement, and I'm going to have to lay it down. Just touch it down like so. That's why I've got the newspaper down as well. And I want the rubber cement to tack everything down while I sew. That's kind of the purpose of this. Okay. And I got some rubber cement over here, and that's fine. I can kind of just take my paper or lay another piece of paper down and kind of do it like this. And then I can now lay my other piece and overlap it like so. So I want them to be about even. And then I have another remnant to fill this hole here. Right. So in order to have everything set pretty well, I will need to take my slab, my stone slab, and press everything down, and that'll be so that I can sew. In the meantime, I'll take some pieces of tissue paper and put it on here and other places where it's exposed, so it, you know, doesn't stick to my my boards and things like that. So here's our cover for the canister. The fish can is all, you know, it's two pieces, and then the third piece all sewn together. We'll be able to wrap this around and fit this to the canister, and then I'm gonna figure out a stitch to use to stitch it all together. Alright, so here comes the moment of truth. We're going to try to wrap our sewed fish skin here around our container, and it will fit. It's just, you know, the stitching style that we want to use, right? And it will close itself off, you know, just like so, just like so, just like so, kind of just barely. And this is dry, right? I might want to spritz it a little bit, make it wet so it can stretch a little bit more. And then we are going to have some leftovers here, you know, because we want to cut this, you know, to the bottom and to the top. But I think first, bottom and the top, we need to get this stretched on here. Now, my idea is we have some clothespins here, all right, that can help us hold things into place, right? So I think, again, I kind of want this. Let's see here, maybe we'll do it the other way, closer to the top versus the bottom, and then yeah, we can adjust accordingly. And I can take my clothespin and kind of hold that in place, right? Take another clothespin and kind of hold this in place, right, as we roll it, and also as we start to stitch it together. Okay, so I've got 3 clips that are just holding things in place, right? And we've got this area here that's, you know, I want to spritz down so it kind of closes properly. And there may be some adjustments that must be had, right, to stitch this together properly. I'm reticent to cut anything just yet, right? So I'm kind of going to be working gingerly. And again, if you're trying this sort of thing at home, every fish skin that you tan is going to be different. So I'm just trying to follow along based on what I have here. But before I cut anything, I want this to be properly stitched in place. Maybe this goes under here or something like that. So with dealing with natural objects, you kind of have to go with the flow. You really do. Fighting it is just going to create a bad product and or a lot of heartache, right? So I'm going to just clip this along these lines. This is what I've got. Try to go the other direction. It doesn't seem like it's going to work. And this will close and clasp just the way things fit, like here. As long as it meets together, that's all I care about, right? And then this can, maybe this goes underneath once this is cut, but everything is going to seal up, right? But right now I just need these clothespins to hold stuff in place, right? Just like that, right? So I'm going to spritz stuff down with some water to see if I can get some more stretch, and then I will cut. So I think it's safe to cut here, and I think it's safe to cut here. I may leave a little bit of overlap. So I'm going to cut here. Again, I'm going to cut a little less than I think I need for adjustments. And the same on this piece here. And every piece of fish leather is going to be different based on how you tan it or stretch it, right? And then these bottom pieces here, which is where I'm going to start my stitching, are going to be the first pieces that are going to have to be kind of stitched together. So and I think what I'm going to do is I am going to use my hole punch this time around for this project. I do have sharp needles that'll go through this hide, but I think at least to start it'd be good to kind of get my hole punch going and to get some stitches lashed in here. Alright, so I've reconstituted the skin, the fish skin, with some water here, and I'm going from the top to the bottom, and I'm just basically doing, I'm doing a 2 needle stitch, and basically I might not be able to get a close-up, but I'm kind of crisscrossing on, you know, on each side as I go down, and it may not be like an absolute straight line, but this I figured that this would be the best way to kind of get this all zipped up together. So again, fish skin is actually pretty tough, surprisingly so, especially trying to get these needles. Even though these needles are sharp, I'm not actually using an awl or a punch to get through the skin. And these clothespins are kind of in the way, at least for now. I mean, but once you get started, then it starts to kind of flow. So then I take this one here, I go down about 1/4 of an inch and pull through on one side, and then the other one, just do the same thing. Just make sure that the skin is tucked underneath. And then so I'm utilizing some pliers here to help pull the needles through. That's where using an awl or punch would be really useful. And then sometimes I even have a piece of tough leather here that I'll use as like a sewing what is that called, when I, you know, a thumb thingy to push the sharp needle through, and end the needle through. So I pull that. So yeah, that's really actually how tough fish skin is. Even though I reconstitute it, and I just keep making sure that it doesn't slide all the way down. I think at this point now I can add a clothespin right at where they're fitting together, and then I can continue my stitching. Now when I'm coming across this area here, that's going to be kind of kittywampus. I am trimming as I see necessary, and then when we get down here, it'll be the same thing. So it'll close up pretty well. It just for now just kind of looks janky. All right, so we're gonna put some finishing touches on our snakeskin cover for Canister here. And what I want to do is, we have some leftovers that need to be snipped. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that with a pair of leather shears and get down right to the bottom and just cut these out. I kind of want to curl under, which is actually not bad. That works. It actually constricts. So it constricts with your with the drying. Alright, so we have some fish skin for another project, smaller project obviously. And so what I want to do now is these are pretty much stay. I will put these back on. But here is our almost finished project. I guess you could leave it here if you were not too particular. But what I want to do here is I'm going to dye this a little bit. Now the fish skin, the salmon skin, this is store-bought salmon skin that I tanned. So I didn't actually harvest them, and I don't know if they're wild caught or if they're farmed. So what happens is once you get through with the tanning process, you get kind of this pale whitish color. Again, if you were to catch a rainbow trout, I'm pretty sure, I'm willing to bet, depending on how aggressive you are, you could tan almost any fish skin. I don't know if your rainbow trout, beautiful rainbow color is going to come through. I don't know. There's going to be different colors, obviously, depending on the species, but this is a kind of a pale-ish color, right? And I'm going to dye this. You can leave it as is if you want the all natural look. That's cool. But I'm going to go ahead and go a step further. It's kind of what I did with my wallets. They give them that kind of give it a little bit more pop and color, more of a brownish color. So I've got some dyes here, and I'm going to dilute the dye. And it's just brown leather dye, really. I just want a few drops of it. I can always go darker. Okay. Which will probably wet the skin a little bit. But that's okay. I just want that much there. And then I've got my little brush here. And I'm just going to start from the bottom up. And just kind of add this. It'll make it wet, of course. But I kind of want to just add some color to it. Add a little bit more. And maybe I can kind of drop in here a little bit. I don't want this. I'm going to spill that. So yeah, we're going to get a little bit more browner color out of here as we stain this. Okay, so this is an optional step. You don't have to do this. Of course, it's going to make the skin wet a little bit more. And that's fine. We'll just let this dry overnight. It'll be alright. I'm not worried about my fingers, but wear gloves if you are. Some of the dyes you can get can be kind of volatile to the skin, so I do recommend wearing gloves. And then there will be a final treatment for this, and again, you know, it's not very bushcrafty or primitive, but it gives a nice sheen to it. I'm going to go ahead and polyurethane this. I haven't added beeswax though, which would be a natural sheen. We can try that when this dries and see what happens. But the reason why is just because there is a texture to the skin, and I'm not quite sure if the beeswax will lay it down and give it a sheen if we buff it real good, or if it will get rid of the natural texture, but we'll see. Okay, so here's the covering of our canister, and I put some finishing touches on it. I dyed it already. I experimented with a scrap piece here that we cut off at the bottom. I dyed it. I dyed this as well. Tried to put some atomized wax on it, which is this stuff, so it's leather balm, and didn't add machine. Tried to do the same thing with beeswax, and that didn't do too much. So I'm gonna go ahead, and just because this is a rustic piece, I mean, I could finish it here, you could be done with it here just for character, but I'm gonna go ahead and spray this down with a little bit of polyurethane right here. Again, not very bushcrafty, but you know, I just want this a rustic piece. So I'm gonna go ahead and let this dry. It adds a little bit of sheen to it, which I think is kind of nice, and it also helps protect the fish leather as well. So just set this here, let this dry, and then we're gonna finish this bad boy off. Okay, so we've attached. I had some cloth weight leather. It's slightly stretchable. And we've attached a woggle knot, just kind of a one strand, or what's called a long running Turk's head. I'm not showing how to do this for this video just because it takes up too much time. So what I'm going to do now is this fish skin edge, I want this real flush. So I'm going to take my X-Acto blade here and kind of clean that up. And then on the bottom, I'm going to do the same treatment, except I'm going to cut like just above the lip there, and I'm going to do another Turk's head on the bottom just for balance. Alright, so here is the finished project. Basically, it looks a little bit Frankenstein-ish, but I actually like the character on it, especially the back part. And the fact, you know, you got fish skin, and I did some woggle knotting. I tried my hand at Turk's knotting the top and the bottom for aesthetics. But this will be my canister that I will be using to hold my brushes in for brush painting and practicing my Japanese and Chinese characters. So anyways, thanks for hanging in there with me. If you found this inspiring, please like, share, and put something in the tip jar. My links are below, as well as subscribe. Thanks.